Welcome on this Wednesday. Guy's not lying when he says it's for Regina Motor Products. Dents or dings, visit RMP. You got an SGI accredited full service collision center. So Sharky took his glass work a couple weeks ago to get done. Lickety split, got it done. Good show for you today. Packing it all in. We're going out to Rider training camp in just moments here. Talk with Dave and Luke on today's run up at Griffith Stadium. Saskatchewan Rush, one game, winner take all. National Lacrosse League. It's going down this weekend. Austin Shanks, who's been on a tear for the Rush, will join us bottom of the hour. Hour two, Eric Francis is in, our NHL insider. Oilers. Stars starting tonight. Flag football going to the Olympics, lots of hype. NFL, the owners are letting their players go play in 2028. CFL, it's kind of right in the middle of the season. From Saskatchewan, who is named defensive coordinator for Team Canada as we get ready for the Olympics, so they go to the World Championships this year, Joel Lipinski. He's going to join us in hour two. If you want to know more about flag football, tune into that. I'm going to fire a lot of questions at Joel since I coached 3 teams. Love it. Always loved it. It's a different game. It's a different game. I don't know. I don't know if the CFL player thing is really that big of a deal, personally. Hour 3, Darian Durant for Campbell Safety Consulting, usually on Mondays, but it's a long weekend. We had things going on, so Darian said, let's go Wednesday. He's going to join us with Luke and Dave in the little round table, sitting around the pool with the smoker. Just 4 guys chatting. That's how we're going to do it. And then in hour 3, Dale Derkatch, Assistant General Manager of the Regina Pats, as they get set for their spring camp. Going to talk to Dale about a number of things, especially that Liam Pugh trade from his lens. He's been around a long time. Great show today. Lots of engagement yesterday on the text line, on the YouTube feed. It's always open. Prairie Land Rentals, where you got a job that's small or big. The owner, 600 Albert Street, can help you out. They can deliver skid steers or they can rent you a spade and everything in between. Prairie Land Rentals, deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street, 936-6262. Do you got questions for Dave and Luke? Do you got questions for Darian? Do you got questions for Dale Derkatch? Eric Francis? We'll take them all. Or just comments. NHL last night. Carolina losing to Florida, but if you're watching that game and you're a hockey guy or girl, Carolina had a lot of chances. They were right in that game. But at the end, and it started going away from them, Florida just bullied them. Even though they're up 4-2, 5-2, just bullied them. I don't know if Carolina can beat Florida 4 games in that series. That's the thing. So we got lots of hockey talk coming up. The fellas were supposed to play a little Dallas from Nelson off to start. I think we had some problems. It's Curtis's holidays. So it's Colson and the Sheriff with me today. They'll rebound. They'll get that ready here right away. Let's go up to Saskatoon and Roughrider training camp, and our training camp reports brought to you by Red Zone Sports Bar, right behind the Saskatoon Travelodge. Daily specials. We've been running through them with Dave. Blue Jay special. They got all-you-can-eat ribs on Sunday. Chicken wings. What night's chicken wings? Is that Thursday? Is that the standard Thursday chicken night wing? Chicken night?
Every night, 69 cents.
They go every night.
They go every night.
And the wings go hard. They're really good wings.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's your favorite flavor?
And the chicken nachos.
That's your favorite.
We had that last week, and it was phenomenal.
What kind of sauce do you run, Luke, on your chicken wings? Or do you go dry rub, or what do you go?
I'm a salt and pepper guy, man. That's it. Just give me salt and pepper. I'm good. All
Very
that other
alpha.
stuff, man. I just don't like getting messy. Like eating
Saucy.
is fun for me. I don't like getting saucy and stuff. Doing the whole you have to it's like eating a banana in public, right? You got to look around, make sure no one's watching you, and then lick your fingers. Like I don't do all that.
All right.
You know what I mean?
All
Like, you
right. It's a home
I
opener.
never thought about it, but now I can't stop thinking.
Hey, I'm just saying, man. These are things that I think about. You know, I'd rather not. I'd rather just if I. Hey, you know what though? If you give me the salt and pepper though, I'll take some blue cheese dressing.
Okay,
Sure, right?
Matt, that's one thing I can't get into. Blue cheese. Never will.
No,
Maybe my taste buds haven't matured.
Well, Dory, you can try it at Western Pizza since I owe you an entire meal now. So yeah,
I didn't want to bring it up.
we'll bring up the blue cheese. We'll ask him to get us some blue cheese, and you can try it out. It's not your money you're wasting. You know what I mean?
Dave, what are you? You're Buffalo wing guy?
Buffalo Ranch, yeah.
Buffalo Ranch? Standard.
See, that gets all in your, you know.
No, but you got to go prepared. You got to go prepared. It's like you're going to a wedding and you're eating them.
It gets in your nails. How are you eating wings?
Well, man, I'm not sitting there with a knife and fork.
Well,
sure, you know.
Then they start burning underneath your nails. So you get stuck in there.
Or in spring or summer, right? Like you got allergies, so you eat some hot wings or whatever, and then you rub it in your eyes by accident.
Oh,
Now not only have you been like monitoring who's watching you while you're licking your fingers, now you're really just sort of concerned because people are looking at you like, dude, what's wrong with that guy?
And
why is he about to have a stroke? Look at his eye.
As you walk to the bathroom eating a banana. Let's go to the offensive line. Like, that's the word. We got text messages coming in here. They want to know what's the status? What is the word on the offensive line today as we sit here Wednesday? What's the update, Dave?
Well, I think we should probably go to Coach Mace right off the bat with the first thing that he told me today when it came to an update on the injury status of Philippe Gagnon.
So we got the results back, man. Unfortunately, he ended up tearing his bicep. So, it's not might not be season ending, which is good for him, good for us. But again, similar to Sean, it's just unfortunate. It didn't look like much, but that's just the way it went.
And just to elaborate on that, we did ask about McEwen and Sean McEwen's status, and again, the only update that they would provide was that it's going to be a while. So I don't think it's full-blown panic mode, but it obviously takes a big hit on your depth when you've got two offensive linemen that are veterans like that, Luke, that aren't going to be available for quite some time.
Again, I don't want to sugarcoat it, right? But this team did have success getting consistent offensive line play during the year despite a rotating door. But it is tremendously frustrating, especially if I'm Jeremy O'Day and Corey Mace. I'm really excited about what I got coming into camp in the trenches, right? What looked like a massive strength to this team, offensive line and defensive line, is still a strength, but not as big because, again, Sean McEwen and Gagnon, those were two studs that you're now having to replace. And when you think about having to, I get the whole next man up mentality and right, but like your guys are your guys. Yeah. And what made this team so deep was the fact that they had the guys behind McEwen and behind Gagnon and behind Ferland and Yoshi, right? Where you could sub in and replace. Now that's gone, right? Now you have to take two of the guys that were really providing some depth strength, start them, great opportunity for them, but now you're going to have to depend on, that brings two more guys up behind them that you weren't necessarily depending on, right? Or weren't in the plans immediately, right? So you go and get a guy like Zach Fry, you figure out where he fits, right? You figure out where Logan Ferland fits now that you have this new scenario. It's just not ideal, obviously, from where you were at the beginning of the camp to where you are now.
You're using your credits early in the game, or you're using your mulligan for golfers early in the game, right? Totally what I was thinking, Luke, as well. They do have depth, but now the depth is being inserted. Do we know? Right. Do we know? Is it is it a surgical tear? Is it a full tear? Does he going to need surgery? Does anyone know that? Because that's usually then a year. Luke, if I had a couple buddies that have torn biceps, and the surgery, you're looking at a year. Do we know?
It wasn't talked about, but as you can see
Disclosed.
from my biceps, like does take some time to get back up. And no,
If I tear this bad boy, there's not enough surgeons in Canada.
Moving that smoker around the pool.
No, I think that I would assume that it's at least a 6-month deal, right? And that essentially is your whole season there.
Yeah.
Depending on how bad, right? I in 2007 I tore my tricep a bit, but it was out. But it was literally like a minor sort of tear that would have fixed itself. This is something that you got to do surgically. Yeah, you're looking at probably 3 to 6. I would assume. I'm not. Yeah. This is me going to 0 years of medical school and depending completely on ChatGPT for my analysis. But
yeah, but there was nothing that was made any further than that, and the fact that it's going to be a road to recovery, not season ending, but again, definitely long term. But what I thought was interesting today was the subtle change that was made. So Sean McEwen's out at center. We saw Zach Fry starting to take reps at center. And this isn't a slight on Zach. It's just an observation in the fact that the snaps weren't as consistent as they were with Sean McEwen. So today the team decided that they were going to go ahead and make a swap up. So they moved Logan Ferland from the right guard to center. They moved Zach Fry from center to left guard, where he started 8 games last year. And then they moved Jacob Brammer from left guard all the way to right guard. To me, that's a lot of moving pieces.
It's a lot of moving pieces, but it's a lot of moving pieces with guys that played a lot of football last year. So, again, it goes to that whole thing Barney's talking about. Yeah, we're using a couple mulligans and the breakfast ball right off the bat, but at least we've got guys in there that play. Now, the concern is now what's after the reconfigured line? What's after the Logan Ferland to center, the Brammer moving guards? I think that the positive news here, and probably the more, if you look at the offensive line, the positive news is that none of the tackles have gotten hurt.
Yeah.
And that is sort of where the like you can go from center to guard. You can go from one guard side to the other guard side. When you're like new right tackle, new left tackle, now you're talking about a whole different set of steps, right? A whole different sort of outlook on life when it comes to offensive line versus the defensive fronts that you're seeing. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the Riders have run into the major injury scenarios on their offensive line, and they've run into them early, hopefully.
Dave, I think did you have a chance to talk about the kind of moving on the offensive line with Coach Mace?
Yeah, the word that I posed was versatility, because Coach Mace talked to us yesterday about defense and the versatility that, for example, Jaden Dahlke has had moving from in the defensive backfield up into the linebacking core. So I asked him if that same versatility was true and evident when it comes to the offensive line.
Good depth and guys that can do multiple things. So again, kudos to Ed and Gene Mikowski's here with us at camp. Those boys are lucky. I don't think they know. So it's been awesome.
They might need Gene.
Well, and it's funny because when he said, I don't think they know, what he's meaning about is the offensive linemen don't know the legends that are working with them right now.
Oh, man. Dude, to be able to learn from Gene Mikowski, you're right. They don't know, but I'm guaranteeing you they found out over time, right? Like, what a privilege. That would be a massive opportunity for anybody to just sponge off one of the greatest. Not just in this organization, one of the greatest in the Canadian Football League.
So I guess the question might be, and Luke, this is best to you. We are preparing for the first preseason game on Saturday. Would it be out of the realm of thinking that you play your entire number one offensive line, maybe not the entire game, but you definitely give them meaningful reps during the game?
In this new scenario, absolutely. You'd want your guys that you're projecting for day one, you want them to go this entire time, right? Or as long as possible. You might move a couple guys. Like, for instance, Hardrick might get a shutdown early. But you want as many of those guys, day one guys, playing as possible. And it goes well for continuity with whatever quarterback. But more importantly, guys, and I've said this before, having the best offensive line in for the exhibition season gives everybody a chance to be evaluated properly. It gives the quarterbacks time to throw to the receivers. It gives the receivers, right? It gives the coaches an idea of whether receivers actually know where their routes are supposed to be. Can they catch, right? Because the quarterback now has time to make throws and the plays get executed properly. You don't have a bunch of small rookie guys in there and defensive lines shooting the gap. You can't evaluate your talent if your quarterback, for instance, is being moved off his launch point immediately, right? You can't evaluate talent if there's just a 5-step drop on a 2nd and 7 and immediately there's guys in a quarterback's face, right? So it gives the team an opportunity to evaluate the skill positions and the running even better. So that's one of the main reasons why you want your ones in there on the offensive line.
And that's a
give
point.
Them the best opportunity to be evaluated.
And that's probably a point that the casual fan doesn't really get, Luke, because they're like, why would you play him? Like, what are you doing? It's like, because it's a team game.
Because
we're not playing basketball.
I got to figure out if Dante Myers can catch. I got to figure out if Jack Cohn, right, can settle in a pocket, go through his reads. Right? I don't know if Jack Cohn has made any improvements if 7 out of 7 snaps, Jack Cohn snaps the ball and is automatically on the run, right? And I'm not saying that would happen with the guys that they have in the depths in Saskatchewan's offensive line now. What I'm saying is your best guys get up front, give everybody an opportunity to be evaluated fairly, right? Cohn can now step into a throw and try to make it an accurate throw. And now we actually see somebody who we've suspected can catch a jump ball. Now we get to see him in that situation. And why? Because the quarterback had time to execute the motion.
Take me inside the meeting room for a second, Luke, because you mentioned Jamarcus Hardrick. He is coming off a long-term injury, right? And I'm sure he wants to get his timing back, get a feel, get some contact, so on and so forth. If you're a veteran, and again, you've got basically your position locked up as much as you can ever in football, who makes that decision for the number of reps you're going to get and what you need to be prepared for week 1 of the regular season?
It's a concentrated effort between the coaching staff and the coaches' meetings, right? When you sit down and you say, okay, we got 4 quarters of football coming up. Here's what we know we want to see, right? It depends what you want to see.
Yeah.
Right. They might say, you know what, Yoshi, we need to see Yoshi if his body can, how his body reacts to an entire 4 quarter. They're not going to say that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we need to see if so-and-so can navigate a 2-minute drill. Right. So there'll be all sorts of situations that these coaches want to see out of certain guys or even themselves. I'd really like the opportunity to call a couple of these 2nd and 7+ situations with this receiving group over here. Can we do that? Right. So they'll figure out what they want to see and then they'll go from there. Right. So I think that looking or evaluating Jamarcus Hardrick is a priority in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, 4th quarter? No, you know exactly what you're going to get from Hardrick, but the continuity piece is there. So out of all the vets, I would say that probably aren't going to play the whole game, I would look at quarterbacks, definitely. A couple of your receivers like Schaefer Baker and those guys, they won't play the whole game, but I don't think Jamarcus Hardrick will play the whole game either.
What's Jeremy O'Day doing right now, do you think, Luke? Like, again, for the casual fan, is he out there?
Lunch.
No, I know, eating chicken wings or something. Is he out there looking what's going to happen at NFL camps? Are they going back to their camps they had in the southern United States? Was there anybody there? Are they looking at other CFL teams that maybe?
The job doesn't stop for J.O., right? Like, it's a consistent evaluation. And, look at the transaction they made releasing Ruby, right? The receiver who hadn't played in the last couple of days, right? They released him and they brought someone else in. For J.O., it's a matter of getting guys in the pipeline, right? Okay, we've got 2 guys down. They were on the offensive line, but are there any other guys that we couldn't get into camp because of numbers that we can now get into camp with these 2 vacancies? Or do we just need to flat out fill those vacancies with offensive linemen because we've lost 2 offensive linemen? The job's never done for JO, right? And you're probably talking a ton to your assistant general manager. You're probably monitoring scouting situations and, like you said, camps in the NFL. Like, his job's never going to be done.
And other CFL teams as well. You know, maybe there is something that you got to give up something to get. Like, there's got to be that aspect as well, because not everybody's making a CFL roster that's at all these camps.
Right. I always thought that, oh man, they lost so-and-so, so they're going to get picked up. They're going to go pick up so-and-so. I think that teams also want to validate the guys they have on their lists, right? So if a stud gets released in, for instance, Ottawa, and he just so happens to play center, right, that we know we're looking for now, I don't know. I feel like J.O. probably does this sort of laundry list in his head. Well, I really wanted to get a look at this guy. Or, you know, we have a young center from Division II, Nevada State, Birmingham, right, that we've always wanted to look at. I always kind of think that there's that. We need to validate our guys that we've scouted, because that's who you're paying, right? You're paying money for the scouts that are working for you. Right. And I think that unless it's a drool-worthy situation in terms of a guy that's available, then you probably want to validate the guys you have.
Dave, did you talk to Coach Mace at all about the next few days here before Saturday?
Yeah, we were talking a little bit like just what we were discussing, right? So how do you approach ramping up towards that preseason game? And I did ask him, I just said, are you happy with where you're at?
We were really pleased with on paper what they look like, and then when you get them here, you know, we realized that we got some pretty good depth and guys that can do multiple things. So again, you know, kudos to Ed, and you know, Gene Mikowski's here with us at camp. You know, those boys are lucky. I don't think they know. So it's been awesome.
All right, fellas, we're gonna get to some of these questions on the text line in hour 2, and then maybe we'll talk running backs in hour 2 as well.
Yeah.
And go down that. All right. Kick back, relax in your video game chairs there, or whatever those are. And then we'll catch up in about 40 minutes.
Sounds good.
Luke's gone. Luke's out. That is our training camp report from the Red Zone Sports Bar, right behind the Saskatoon Travelodge. They've been raving about it the last 2 weeks. So if you're in town, go check it out. When we come back, Saskatchewan Rush. Chance to hang a banner. One game against Buffalo this weekend. We're going to talk to one of their all-stars. It is a Sports Cage on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM. I really appreciate Prairie Land Rentals text line. Kevin, you're asking me what to sprinkle on tonight. Kevin, I know you listen to the show often. You do not want to know. You don't want any advice from me. He likes the Stars and Padres parlay. Didn't even think of that. Jays won 3-0 yesterday. When's the last time they strung 2 wins together? And the Stars. Yeah, Kev. I don't know. I was looking up and down like points in the series for Stars and Oilers, and I started going like cold sweat style, and I had to shut down my app. I don't know what to play. I wish I would have taken the Panthers -1.5 last night. Hindsight. I'm really good the day after, like most gamblers. But yeah, I don't know, Kev. Hit that Stars Padres parlay. Let's see how that works out. Gordo also texting in, and Lee asked some questions for the fellows for Rider Training Camp. A couple of here that are blocked. Can't see those anymore. Eli. No, that was yesterday. All right.
The Blue Jays swept the Mariners May 9th, 10th, 11th.
There we are.
Yeah, right. That was part of a 4-game winning streak. So,
nothing better on a rainy day than a Western pizza wheel. Maybe it's the all dress, the number 2, or all the Greek favorites you love. Souvlaki, salad, ribs. So good. Visit your local Western Pizza. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. We're talking lacrosse. It's one game, winner take all. How it should be. Austin Shanks from the Rush is joining us. Austin, thanks so much for making some time today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
What's your day job? Because when I was setting this up with Cody, he was like, I think he's working nights or he's working days. What do you do during the day?
I'm a trauma firefighter, so we work 24 hours. So he asked me if I could do something yesterday, but I was on shift yesterday.
Right on. That makes for busy weeks for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, they can get pretty hectic for sure.
One game for the championship. If you would draw this up and go with the old sports adage, and you watch, when there's a series in whatever sport, and say, if you told me it was one game for the championship, we would take it. Would that be true in this case with you and the Rush?
Yeah, we're a confident group, and we've earned everything up until right now, and we're going to go in there and play for 60 minutes and earn another win.
You've been around the league quite a while playing. I think it was fantastic. One of the best post-game interviews that I've seen in any sport in a while was you talking about beating Halifax and how you only brought one suit and you wanted to finish them tonight and all that. Just, the Rush Nation. And I know, there was a little bit of concern about, some of the support in stadium and all that. But have you seen it grow here over the last few weeks as you guys push? And then what happened last weekend as you guys force a Game 3?
Yeah, for sure. The Rush, they've had really good crowds in the past. And, we slowly climbed them back into the arena this year. And the crowds got better and better every game, and especially during playoffs. And I believe we had a sellout lower bowl for the final game of the year, and it was awesome. We could get them a dub, and we went undefeated at home in the playoffs. So it was great to do that for our fans because we really appreciate them, and they're a big part of this organization. So they've been very supportive, and we can't thank them enough.
Home field advantage, is it a big deal coming up this weekend here for Buffalo, or do you guys not see it that way?
It can be in playoffs, but I think at this point, it's do or die for everyone. It's we got to go in there and play 60 minutes, and the crowd isn't going to change this game. It's for all the marbles, right? So I don't think the crowd will change anything or have anything detrimental to the game, and we're just going to go in there, and we're going to have lots of family and friends and supporters and some travelers, I'm sure. So we'll be well supported there.
What's been working for the club over the last few weeks? Is there the playoff thing where certain guys are stepping up at the right time? From your lens, what's been working?
Yeah, we just don't give up. This team's got a lot of heart, and I think that goes a long way. There's been the last two games have been about a goal. We won an overtime game, and so they've been tight games. And I'm playing with a lot of heart. We're playing for full 60 minutes. We're not giving up no matter what. This team wants it bad. So guys have stepped up. Skiggs has been absolutely incredible, and a lot of guys on the DN. I could name every single guy on the DN. Everyone has stepped up and played a bit better than they have in this season, and that goes a long way. And the O's just flowing right now. We're just playing as a unit, and Jake Naso is getting us the ball in the X. So the whole team's just stepping up. That's what we got to do in the playoffs. It's about ramping it up, and that's what we've been doing as a unit.
I love watching lacrosse. I don't know enough. I never played it. But when it comes down to a Game 3 and a deciding game like you guys are going to play here, is there a lot of game planning to strategy? Like, in hockey, it'd be like, hey, we're going to play this forecheck. We're going to play this trap. Or in football, you're going to shut down certain things. We're going to strategize that way. In lacrosse, will you guys shift game plan and maybe, play to a strength? Or is it just, let's go our game, we play our game for 60 minutes, and then we see where the chips fall?
A little bit of both, actually. We just worry about ourselves. We just play our game and what we're good at for 60 minutes. And that's hard-nosed lacrosse. But at the same time, we played these guys back-to-back Friday, Sunday, right? And we got lots of film, and we're familiar with them now, and we kind of know what works and what doesn't, and they're going to do the same thing. They're going to make small adjustments, too, so it's going to be adjustments on the fly and as well as going with our strengths. So it's going to be an exciting game. I'm excited, and we're going to bring a championship back to Saskatchewan.
Yeah, maybe a parade of some sort in Saskatchewan.
That'd be nice.
Yeah,
That'd be real cool.
Saskatchewan hasn't had a pro, championship in a while, so I'm sure you're aware. I got to ask you, it says you're from, is it Courtice, Ontario?
Curtis, Ontario.
Curtis.
But I'm out from Whitby.
Okay, so would you be a Leafs fan back in the day?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'll live. It's as long as I get mine.
Yeah, what a wild ride for Leafs fans. Austin, like you said, you're a busy guy. We appreciate this. Exciting, and it's on TV. We can watch it as well here. So everyone's rooting for you, and of course, go get Saskatchewan a championship.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Right on. Austin Shanks, forward from our Saskatchewan Rush. Curtis, Ontario, never heard of it, but it's spelled Courtice. You guys ever heard of it? Near Whitby. That's an exciting game. I wish that game was at Sask Place in Sasky, but it's Buffalo. What did I say? It's 2:30 start our time on Saturday, or is it Sunday? 24th. All the days are jumbling together in a long week. It's Saturday, 2:30. TSN has it. If you're looking for something to do, the Rush and Buffalo, one game, winner take all. Let's go to break. Come back. Check out the Prairie Land Rentals text line. We'll talk some NHL hockey. Got a couple of clips here. Love the Draisaitl one that we have. Oiler fans, I think there's a few of you chiming in here. You guys gotta be revved for tonight. It is a Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com.
In the league.
Oiler fans, I don't want to say it's been the good luck charm, but since we started playing Dallas from Nelson again, after you were down 2-0 to the Los Angeles Kings, guys have been rolling. It's Dallas from Nelson. You can find it online. It's got a number of Oiler parodies. We'll play a couple more because it is Oiler game day. So we talked about it yesterday with Maz, and then we talked about it also with the Rash and the troll job of Brad Marchand and Matthew Tkachuk on Toronto Maple Leaf fans. It was top-notch, 10 out of 10, as they say. So the question was posed to Leon Draisaitl about playing in a high-pressure Canadian market. If you missed it, this is what he had to say.
You're inefficient. Where maybe
Yeah, of course. I mean, the pressure is higher here, of course. Just through media, fans, the expectations. That's just the way it is. It's a hockey country. It starts with hockey and it ends with hockey in this country. And I don't know if teams feel that they get under pressure with that. I'm not the right person to answer that, but we can handle it, and we're excited to, get back to playing and put our best foot forward.
Like that. Not an Oiler guy, but man, do I respect that guy and what he does. It was a good comment. We had somebody else was asking on the text line about wagering on tonight's game. I don't know. How do you bet against the Oilers at this point? They're just getting it done. Ekholm, what is he? Is he a game time decision? Is he playing? What's the latest on Ekholm? He was skating this morning. He was in morning skate. I was going to see if Cam Moon had a chance, and I was like, it's game day. It's a big game. Gotta let him rest. the Oilers are just getting, I was talking to a guy at the rink yesterday, just getting production. If you're an Oiler fan, like what Evander Kane's doing, what Frederick's doing, Henrique, it's kind of, Corey Perry. Like Corey Perry just got it done for years. We'll talk to Eric Francis in hour 2 more about this series. Now, Craig Berube. Which one do you have first, Coulson? Berube talking about, and just a little bit of a salesman here. And I don't know if we're getting the full truth on the scripted comment on Austin Matthews.
Yeah, I thought, it's great coaching him. Obviously coaching a guy with that much ability, but the person is even more important for me. Great character, great personality. Really enjoyed being around him. I thought his leadership got better and better as the year went along. I thought we worked well together, him and I, from that standpoint. And I thought, towards the end of the season, he really took over in that role. And he's only going to grow as a leader now. I think understanding what it takes to be a leader and the things you got to do, not only on the ice, but off the ice. There's a lot that goes into it. And I thought he grew extremely well as a leader.
Baby, come back. You can blame it all on. That's what that is there. Please do not leave. Austin Matthews. Fantastic leader. Learned so just playoffs, not so much. Did you? And then the probably the biggest moment in the game yesterday, Florida and Carolina, was Gostisbehere shooting the puck at Brad Marchand. Now, I didn't think that it was deliberate. Obviously wrong, because after everybody in the world is commenting on how that was deliberate, maybe I didn't see the right angles. I was like, was it really? But maybe something was said, because Marchand loses it, goes after him, and of course, the best soundbite in the league, Paul Maurice, after the game, not really given much.
Paul, what was your impression of the Gostisbehere situation that led to Brad getting the 10-minute misconduct?
Yeah, I've got one. I'll be keeping that to myself.
So good. Carolina had chances early in that game. I know Stankoven misses that open net. Here, Travis, here's a nugget for you. I took Stankoven to score at least one goal on the Prairie Land Rentals text line, and he didn't. It didn't work. Prairie Land Rentals, big job, small jobs, gardening tools, tents, fences, party supplies, generators, welding. Doesn't matter. They have it all at 600 Albert Street. You get to deal with the owner. 936-6262. We'll go to break. We come back. Sports Ticker. It is a Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com. Rider training camp news. Doesn't look good for Philippe Gagnon, the offensive line. Torn bicep. Could be season ending. Coach Mace not saying that, but bicep tear with surgery is not good. NHL tonight. Jets are done. I don't know why I have that. Oilers, Dallas, game 1. Toronto Blue Jays take it on San Diego once again. NBA, like, how excited are you, Sheriff? It's a big deal in New York.
Oh yeah, it's been a while since I won a championship. So basically, they're the equivalent of the Maple Leafs. They have I'm pretty sure the last time they won was 1973.
It's the Maple Leafs, Cowboys, and Knickerbockers. It is like they are going crazy in New York. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. Game 1 there against Indiana tonight, and then other news from the NBA: Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wins the MVP award, second Canadian ever, behind Steve Nash. I knew who it was. What did you think I was going to say? Hal Johnson? That is your Sports Ticker at hour 1 for Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. Keeping you in hot and soft water. Call on Reliance. Hour 2 is going to start with our NHL insider, Eric Francis. Hour 3, we still got Darian Durant coming up for Campbell Safety Consulting. It's a full show. It is a Sports Cage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Hour 2 of the program. Regina Motor Products, a sponsor on Wednesday. Riding with the Sheriff and Colson today. We're going back up to Roughrider training camp in Saskatoon in about 25 minutes time. Dave and Luke, I want to talk about running backs next time we go up there. And then flag football from Saskatoon. Joel Lipinski named defensive coordinator for Team Canada flag team. They're going to the World Championships. They're getting ready for the Olympics in 2028. We're going to talk to Joel at about 22 the hour. That's your hour 2. Man. Hockey tonight. Oiler fans littering Prairie Land Rentals text line. Lots of gear out there too. Lots of Oiler jersey guys walking around lately. Why wouldn't you? You're into the conference finals. It's now time for Southie Mainline Chrysler, where employee pricing is back. Enjoy savings or get 0% interest rates, OAC, on your next purchase. Southie Mainline Chrysler, Southie, Saskatchewan, worth the drive every time, guaranteed. Let's talk to Eric.
Now for Inside the NHL with Eric Francis on the Sports Cage. Inside the NHL is brought to you by Southie Mainline Chrysler, the newest king of trucks. Worth the drive every time, guaranteed.
So before we start with hockey, I'm sitting there reading some articles today, and this one, and I'm like, this is something that I want to talk to Eric about. So did you hear about these 10 guys in New Orleans that escaped this prison from behind a toilet?
Yeah, and they left a sign that said "Too easy."
Graffiti on the wall. So 5, as it stands right now, 5 are still at large. They caught the last guy sleeping on a bench waiting for a bus. Hey, I've never been on the run. I'm sure it's tiring. You're just trying to get some Z's in at times, so whatever. I'm not going to judge. The thing is, Eric, you can gamble on this if they find the last 5 by Friday. There's some sites that you can gamble on it. You know me, I like to sprinkle. Isn't that something?
That's, when your financial advisor says to diversify, you don't want to put all your bets on who you think's going to win the cup, who's a 2-game parlay here, a 2-game there. I like mixing up, something, a little long shot, maybe a U.S. presidential election or something like that. But this one, that's new to me. Is the wager that all 5 of them have to be caught, or are there different wagers? It pays differently depending on how many they catch.
Well, I think over the next couple days here, some of the other sites could get a little kinky on things. But right now, it's just 5 by Friday. But hey, I love these kind of stories, but you get 10 guys there, and there's video of them running out of the facility. Now, one guy gets arrested that was a caretaker because he shut the water off, so he's kind of aiding in all this. So he's that guy's screwed. But and some of the guys are sleeping on the bench guy. But the one guy posted on Instagram, something on Instagram right away. No. And I'm like, hey, not that we're going to. If you get ever with 10 guys and you escape from prison, like, aren't you finding the nearest train in the night and just getting on that train and seeing where it takes you?
Yeah. Yeah, and you're probably staying off social media. Just throwing that out there. Like, it might be a good idea to steer clear of letting people know that you're out and about. All this reminds me of years ago, I was playing golf in Denver with Joe Colburn, actually, former Calgary Flame.
Yep.
And he had moved out to Denver where he'd played college hockey, and he was just enjoying retirement and such. And we couldn't believe how many helicopters and like sirens there were all day long. But we could see from the golf course we were at, it was off the beaten track. And we were playing next to a penitentiary. And sure as hell, 2 guys had escaped that day. And we were starting to see reports on our phone. You check in on your phone, like, I wonder what's going on here. Sure enough, 2 guys were on the lam in and around where we were. I have never given up on the search for a golf ball so quickly in my life. Like, anything in the woods was getting left there. There was no chance I was going a foot in to find out, some guy wearing camouflage shirt jump up and grab me. I don't know. We were terrified. I've never been scared playing golf. I was a little nervous that day, I'll tell you, I'll be honest.
Funny Denver golf story. I was there on the weekend, played with the boy at the University of Denver, played twice. Sunday, his 14th birthday, he nipped me. He was 83, I was 84. He was 1 tees up, but on his birthday, he beat me. 14th birthday.
That's great.
Isn't it?
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
There was a course by one of the rinks that my daughter was playing at, and him and his buddies, they went and looked for balls. They got 2 big shopping bags that they brought back in this guy's half ton of golf balls. So we were playing on Sunday, and the guys are like, yeah, when you go down by the water there, watch out because the snakes are out. And I'm like, huh?
Oh, no.
I'm like, huh? And he's like, yeah, lots of bull snakes, the odd rattler. And I said, it's not that hot. He's like, no, they're out. So I go to my son and I'm like, hey, when you bozos were looking for balls for 3 hours, do you know why? Because no one goes and looks for them because they're snakes.
No way.
Yeah, you got to watch out. You got to watch out for that.
Oh, my God. Hey, I have a question. Did you pay the tariff on those golf balls when you brought them back to Canada? Pay the tariff?
Yeah, no. I think aren't golf balls exempt? The top flights are anyway.
If anyone was going to put an exemption on something, it would be that golf mad president. He would be like, yeah, golf's exempt from everything because I love it.
Oh, what a sweet swing he has.
Hey, there's a book out there called Commander in Chief. Have you ever read it?
No.
It's Rick Riley, one of the great writers of our time, wrote a book, and the entire book is about how Donald Trump cheats at golf. And as he conducts himself on a golf course is how he conducts himself in life. It is the biggest smear job I've ever read in my life, and I can't turn the pages fast enough. I'm loving every story. Every chapter is a news story about what a dirtbag move that the president pulled on somebody in match play or something, or how much he lied. Because he claims he won 18 club championships. and Rick Riley goes through and debunks 17 of them. 17 of them are never happened. One is only partially in question, but no one's aware of it other than the president. So pretty fascinating.
What was that? Didn't the guy from North Korea say that like he played golf once and he shot par or something? Like these guys are all over the place.
Yeah.
18 hole in one. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, that's 18 hole in ones. Amazing.
Jeez.
Who's going to dispute it?
Okay. And then maybe at the end of our segment, I took so many notes on this trip for our podcast, our traveling podcast, airplane stuff, airport stuff. So I got a lot of good stuff written down here. Let's get into hockey. Gostisbehere, does he shoot that puck at Marchand?
You're damn right he does. And I'm not big on that. Like that. Look, we all get frustrated playing hockey, and like I thought it was interesting. Aaron Ekblad goes, "Hey, we block shots all game long. The result is the same whether somebody intentionally fired at you or not. It hurts the same or it doesn't hurt." Like, Ekblad was kind of dismissing it, saying no big deal. I think it's very, very symbolic, and it might be one of the most ultimate signs of disrespect out there. I have no problem with Marchand going after him, especially since the game was already out of hand. Send a message saying we're not going to take that, and then get the rest of the night off. It's not the worst thing.
Have you ever covered a game where that's happened before, or the old 80s or 90s thing? Cam Moon told the story on the Fan 960 today when he was playing with the Blades. I think it was somebody from the Blades fired one into Brandon's bench. Have you ever seen this, heard about something like this before?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because when we were in the bubble, not the playoff bubble, but during the pandemic when Calgary played in empty stadiums, Calgary was playing Toronto, and at the very end of a game, I can't remember who it was, someone fired a puck at Matthew Tkachuk, and all the Flames players were skating off the ice because they thought the game had ended, and they just didn't see that last little flip. And you speaking about flip, like Matthew Tkachuk flipped and tried to kill everybody he could out on the ice, and ultimately he stormed off the ice furious. I think, as legend has it around here, like everyone pretty much understood, he was furious because nobody came to defend him. He was there battling alone. He's like, somebody flipped a puck at me, and you clowns all left the ice. And it really stuck in his craw. Like, he slammed the gate as he left. He was pretty pissed off. And so, yeah, he didn't take it too kindly to it. I remember writing about how disrespectful I thought it was and unnecessary. But, of course, Leaf Nation went nuts, cramming it down my throat because it's Matthew Tkachuk, and he's kind of hard to defend at times.
Yeah. Is it going to be really, really hard just from watching what we see yesterday? Hey, and Carolina had a lot of chances to score there, but it comes, what I'm thinking is it's going to be really hard for Carolina to win 4 games against these guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think so. The shot attempts last night were double for Carolina over Florida, but I'm with you. The game looked almost easy for the Florida Panthers. And look, you look at the 4 teams left, and I'll give you that 3 of the 4 can win the cup. But there's one clear favorite to me, and that's Florida, because I think they're going to be able to breeze through Carolina. Breeze is probably a strong word. They're a sneaky good team and disciplined and well coached and all that. But Florida, I just think, is so been there, done that. They know what to do. And then, in the other series, I don't mean to disrespect Dallas or Edmonton by saying that Florida's the clear favorite, but it's a coin flip to me on whether or not Dallas or Edmonton's getting through to the Stanley Cup final. Whereas I think the path is a whole lot clearer for Florida.
We'll get to Edmonton and Dallas. And I said last thing on the other one. The other thing that I noticed last night is even though they're up 4-2 and then 5-2, Florida just keeps bullying them around the ice. And it's almost like Florida's down and they're going to take liberties because it's a long series possibly, but it's the other way around. Florida, finishing every check, cross-checking. Like they're that team.
Yeah, they get it, and
yep.
We all know that a champion, is the one that steps on your throat and finishes you off. And that's kind of what they're doing. Like, even in a game where it was already well in hand, they were still dishing out as much punishment as possible and reminding them that we're going to make every single puck battle really hard on you if you want to try and just, bump off the champs. So, yeah, they get it. I mean, you tell me something that Florida's missing, and I'll be surprised. Like coaching, defense, 2 great top lines. They've been there already. They've done that. They've also been to the final before and been disappointed in losing. Like, they check every single box. You tell me if they're missing something. I'd be pretty fascinated to hear it.
Eye candy behind the bench. That's the only thing that I can think of. But let's go to Dallas and let's go to Dallas and Edmonton. I don't know what to make of it. Like, Prairie Land Rentals text line, we had a couple guys like, what's the sprinkle tonight? Where do you go? I'm like, don't ask me anymore. Yeah. And I'm like, I do not know, because this series, I feel the Oilers could be down 2-0 or vice versa, and it still goes 7. I just can't rule anything out.
Yeah, can't rule anything out. I mean, I think the big advantage Dallas has is Ottinger over Skinner or whoever else ends up playing at least a game or 2 in this series for Edmonton. But other than that, I've seen a lot of people that cover it really closely who covered either one of those teams, and they say, like, this is so eerily similar to last year's matchup, which was won by Edmonton in 6 games. And I agree. Like, I know that Edmonton lost some speed in the offseason. They got offer sheeted and they had a couple of surprises, but I think they've managed to kind of pick up some speed along the way with a waiver claim. They made a trade for Bud Colson. I just think they've slowly crept up to being just as good as they were last year, if not better. And the most important thing, I think, for the Oilers has been that, A, they're a little bit more rested than anybody else, but B, the depth has really come to the fore. I don't know if it's still going to be there in round 3 or round 4 if they get there, but the depth has been the story in Edmonton the whole playoff.
What's the deal with Ekholm? They're getting one of their best players back at some point. I don't know what the status is tonight. Did you ever look it up, Colson or Sheriff?
They say he's not playing game 1 or 2, but hey, we've all seen these games being played. But he skated this morning, like, you know, without a no-hit jersey on. Like, he will be. You're right. He will be back before the end of this series, and that is a huge boost morale-wise, but also to their personnel, assuming he can be anywhere close to 100%.
It could, like, special teams in this series could be the way, right? Because both power plays can be lethal, and the Oilers, although it started a little bit slow and pedestrian, I don't know. I like we talked about. It's a coin flip to me, and we can maybe on Monday we'll have a better idea. What are you thinking to go back to Toronto? Just because, what are you hearing? What are you thinking? Like, if you were going to sprinkle, Marner and Tavares definitely gone next year.
No, I think it's a 50-50 proposition. Like, I think, and when I say that, I mean, I think Marner's 100% gone, and I think Tavares is returning. So half of them are coming back, but not the other half. I mean, I think it's to the point where, you know that video we're just showing right now where Marner's screaming, wake up, everybody. I just feel like that was all lip service. Like, we just didn't see, right? I mean, oh, yeah, you're full of fire and piss and vinegar there, Mitch Marner. Like, you don't hit anybody. You don't. Anyway, the whole province of Ontario and Leaf fans around the world are done with Mitch Marner. You will not find a single Leaf fan out there who's going, no, give him one more chance. Next playoff, he'll be amazing. Nobody is saying that. The money that he's going to be demanding, through no fault of his own, is going to be in the $12 million, $13 million range. The Leafs can't afford that. You'd rather keep a center in Tavares than a winger in Marner anyway. I think it's pretty cut and dried that's what's going to happen. Now you talk about sprinkling. Tell me where your money is in terms of where Mitch Marner's going, because I think you could look at 4 or 5 places where I think it makes a lot of sense. Anaheim, but to me, where it makes the most sense and where I would put my money, Chicago Blackhawks. They need someone to set up Connor Bedard and make Connor Bedard want to stay and feel good about himself and grow them and teach him. And I think Mitch Marner is exactly that guy, and they have all the money to do it. So to me, that's the place he should go.
NHL insider Eric Francis for Southie Mainline Chrysler is here. I was talking to a guy at the rink yesterday, and he thinks that is the play. First off, can we take Calgary, Vancouver, Montreal? Like, don't even insult everyone's intelligence that that's a possibility. That's where he's going to go. The only thing about Chicago is, they got a lot of money. Unless they do something drastic, they're going to stink again. Like, they're not built to win in the league. They're young. They're weak on a number of different. And there's some pressure in Chicago, right? It's the Blackhawks. Like, if you're Mitch Marner, after what you put up with, like, save the KHL or going to Sweden, go play somewhere where no one knows you, which would be live in Long Beach or live on, wherever, Laguna Beach, wherever they live, play in Anaheim.
Yeah. And that's why I alluded to Anaheim. To me, I think they're going to make one of the strongest pushes. And, I think that's a really, that fit makes a lot of sense to me from both sides. You can get away from it all, hide your family a little bit. He's been talking a lot in the media about how his family is really, taking all the criticism and everything quite hard. I think it'd be great for him. And I've heard all year long that he definitely doesn't want to play anywhere in Canada other than Toronto. And I still think up until recently, I still think he wanted to stay in Toronto and finish his career there. But I think that the way he disappeared in the playoffs again for the umpteenth time in a row has made it clear that that's a divorce that needs to happen. And I think he even sees it now too.
Okay, next week I saw this on social media today, and we can talk about this. The 2026, as it stands right now, the free agency class. Whoa, are there some names on that? But we can get to that. First thing that I got on the plane the other day, and we're flying, and I'm like, well, here's my first thing for Eric. The person that's going down a plane, and let's keep in mind, this isn't Arab Emirates. Like, this is a small plane, Regina to Calgary, the first leg. The person, and there's always one that's sitting there counting the rows, like they're going to throw a monkey wrench in, and all of a sudden from 14 to 76, they count the rows. They're 12, and then they miss their row. Oh, I'm back there. Then everyone's got to push back, and they got to grab their bag, and they got to go, sorry, I'm in 10. 8, 9, 10. When you got to 11, 12, and 13, did you not feel lost?
Yeah, it's killer. And in that same vein, there's the guy who goes to the washroom. He gets on plane first, goes to the back of the plane to go to the washroom, and then he's got to come up 25 rows, and to get through all the traffic that's going one way to the back. I've seen that guy quite a bit. And the other, I've seen people go all the way to the back looking for a spot for their bag. They get on late.
Yeah.
And they go all the way to the back, and then they got to fight their way through the crowd again to get to the front to tell somebody, I can't find a place for my bag. Love it.
That you just put it on your lap, and then they have to come and take it and put it somewhere for you anyway. What are you going through to work for? Think the game.
Yeah. All you're doing is delaying the flight. You're going to make sure that we're late wherever we're going.
I got so many more. All right.
Okay, good.
Have a good night. Really looking forward to Monday and see how this series shakes down. And I'm sure you're golfing, so hit them straight.
I'll be in Edmonton covering the series, so but Monday's a day off, which means okay. I'll have to call you from the golf course. We'll figure it out.
I have a reciprocal at Mayfair and Petroleum Club. I should come in.
Come on in. You stay in my room. We'll have a party. It'll be fun. We'll pretend we're in university. We're sharing quarters.
Calling down for a cot. Excuse me? What year is it? It's the Imperial 400. Okay. Have a good one. See you, Eric.
Yeah, cheers. Bye.
Our NHL insider, Eric Francis, for Southie Mainline Chrysler, the new king of trucks in Southie Saskatchewan. Employee pricing is back. You can enjoy massive savings or get 0% interest rates, OAC, on your next purchase. Break time. When we come back, we're going up to training camp. Talk to the fellas. It is a SportsCage on 620 CKRM. All right, fellas. I'm throwing it over to you for clutch performers. Who wants to go first? Colson, do you want to go first?
Sure. I just got to push some buttons here. There we go. So my clutch performer goes to Saskatoon's own Emily Clark. She got the winner for Ottawa in Game 1 of the PWHL final.
Oh, nice. I saw this online.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. M. Clark.
Yep, Saskatoon's own.
Where is it? Good one. Okay. Sheriff. I got a sneaky suspicion where you're going.
Yep, well, it is definitely basketball. I was going to say for SGA because he had a good game yesterday, but this is just added bonus now because now he was rewarded the MVP, so it's 2 for 1. I like it both.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
MVP. Hamilton, Ontario. Steve Nash was our first. Now, man, we got some basketball players. We got some ballers, as the kids say. Good job, boys. Clutch performers for Nick Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson, Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. You can call them. 781-1077. Let's go up to training camp. Training camp reports for Red Zone Sports Bar in Saskatoon, right behind the Travel Lodge. We just had somebody text a picture of them driving on Circle Drive, and the Travel Lodge in the background. I said, hey, stop in and see the fellas. There's nothing better than Circle Drive traffic right around this time of the day. Right, Dave? You know that all too well.
I know that very well. Hey, is there something that's the opposite of the clutch performer that I could bring up for a second?
The opposite of the clutch performer?
The opposite of the clutch performer. So finding out that your buddy Smoker has arrived 6 weeks earlier than anticipated. You know, what's worse than that is then he pulls out his phone and says, look, this is the first time. It was awesome. The ribs were opposite, not Nick's clutch performer right there.
That's the Michael Bishop performance.
Yeah. Well, better finding out, like Toby Keith said, Award. Wish I didn't know now what I didn't know then.
Yeah.
That's a good. I know you were wanted to bring that up yesterday. Okay, first off, we got some text coming in here, some questions, but let's go with running backs. How are things looking at the running back position, boys?
Well, for me, again, AJ Ouellette I think has looked terrific. He looks faster. He looks, I don't want to say heavier, but he looks like he's thicker with his pads, even though he isn't. He looks like a changed running back in my eyes. But then behind him is Mario Anderson and Trent Penix. And those two are really getting equal reps, along with Thomas Bertrand-Houdin, who really changed up his offseason regimen. He went ahead and he's lost some weight. He looks quicker. He's also gone ahead and really taken the deep dive into the playbook. He's been working out and learning from Logan Ferland, of all people. But the two of them have just gone ahead and befriended one another. They share smoothies in the morning at camp. And again, that running back room, talented.
Yeah, I think that Bertrand-Houdin has been one of the bright spots in camp, I think. And anytime you're able to get a guy like that snaps in camp, meaningful snaps too, right? Like that's a great thing. And I played with a guy named Neil Hughes, who was cut from the same cloth, just a fantastic all-around football player. And that's what Bertrand-Houdin reminds me of, right? He's going to give you some great special teams as well. But as far as the Johnson and Penix conversation, I'll tell you, man, I think that's one of those battles that is going to come down to the wire, just sort of like a couple of those young DB battles we've seen over the last couple of years here in camp. I think that Penix and again, I was talking to Rob Vanstone today because it was freezing outside and the media, they were sort of just huddled up in the same area. And Vanstone brought up a good point. I was obviously, gushing over Penix. That's my guy. Your guy is number 29, Mario Anderson. And the thing he said about Anderson is Anderson's got some quicks to him, and he might have some return ability. And again, that's one of those conversations where you're like, hey, one of the things these coaches have to do is figure out where do guys have additional value if it's on the fence, right? And Anderson, let's see, does he get some special teams work? Does Penix get some special teams work? It's going to be a great sort of fight all the way down.
I thought for sure, Dave, that he was going to say, so I have Vanstone over for supper the other night, the smoker, and he thinks that okay, all seriousness here, and if you missed it in hour one, doesn't look good for Philippe Gagnon on the offensive line. We got a bicep tear issue. Luke, first to you, like that position for the running backs, like what are the running backs thinking right now with what they're seeing on the offensive line? And then it goes back to our preseason game where they want to get some looks on receivers, on quarterbacks, probably on some running backs as well.
Yeah, exactly, right? And which goes back to that conversation about why you use your most experienced and your best offensive line combination in the exhibition season. Because now the gaps that Anderson and Penix are supposed to run into, they're actually open, right? So now it's not a guy getting the football, and as soon as he gets the football, he's running into the backside of an offensive lineman, right? Or a young offensive lineman's forgot his assignment, and the defensive end screaming off the edge with nothing but bad intentions, right? So I think that you're right. That is going to be one of those things where you just hope the opportunities that Penix and Anderson get, because I think that although Houdin is having a great camp, I don't think that he's going to be a guy, if AJ Ouellette goes down, he's not going to start. right? He'll always be the guy, the second running back option in this offense. And that's still a very valuable and needed role. So that's nothing against him because he's shown well. But again, I think that in order to evaluate a guy like Penix and a guy like Anderson the most, you want guys that understand where their running assignments are. And more importantly, if they do blitz, which is rare in the off season and in exhibition games, but if they do blitz, they want the guy that is supposed to come free and that Penix is supposed to block. They want him being the guy that comes free. They don't want two guys, right? Putting the running back on an island, right? You want to be able to evaluate guys. So I think that that's another reason why you'd want your starters in there for the majority of the game.
Dave, probably echo that as well. And then for you, you're there, you're interviewing a lot. I'm not sure if you interviewed any running backs today, but it's probably something that you could get a sense on. I don't want to say frustration, but just on a mood. It's like we're bringing these old linemen in, and now we got two down. I don't know if you could sense any of that, but that's got to be in the psyche of the running backs. There's no doubt about it.
Maybe in the psyche, but I don't think anybody's hanging their heads though either. The one thing that I'll bring up, and it was texted to me by Jeff, and Jeff said, okay, and we were going back and forth on this. So if you are managing a baseball team, right, your best hitters are probably 1, 2, or 3 in the order. But say they're not the greatest defenders, you're going to go ahead and hide them in the field somewhere, right? In the game of football, I don't think that you can necessarily hide anyone. But Jeff's question was, by moving Logan Ferland, and again, if you missed that news, Logan Ferland moved today from the right guard spot to the center spot. Are you losing anything that you get from the defending most outstanding offensive lineman in the West Division by moving him from guard to center? Do you lose anything?
I don't think you lose anything. Again, it's not like you're moving him from guard to center and then throwing a rookie from Queen's University in there to start, right? You're replacing him with Zach Fry and Jacob Brammer, two guys that played a lot of football last year. I think the concern is if you get beyond that, right? Because then you're into the Noah Zur type of body, which fortunately enough for Noah Zur, he got that call back. But again, he got the call back because he was available because he had gotten released. So you have to make sure that, and the other thing is too, running backs just want the ball. They want the rock. Yeah. They don't care who's in front of them. As a matter of fact, they're ready for the immediate cut if they have to, right? Because that's what a running back does. And that's part of the reason why you evaluate them is because you identify the guys that have that sort of extra click or that extra sort of sixth sense about something breaking down in front of them that can make a nice cut early on to save a negative play and make it a positive one.
Before I let you go, I want to get to a couple of these questions from the Prairie Land Rentals text line. Daryl in Regina asked, how is linebacker Nick Weeb doing? Is he over his knee injury? Is he making an impact? And should he make the roster?
I think the other Weeb is having more of an impact. The receiver. I haven't seen Nick Weeb too much. That linebacker room is a deep one. Another one of those deep rooms, right? You got CJ Revis. You've got guys like Jameer Thurman. On the other side, you've got AJ Allen. You've got the other AJ. You've got a couple Canadian. So I think Nick Weeb. Haven't seen much of him. He's hurt it right now.
Well,
is he not?
right now, Nick Weeb is on a pitch count. So he is not getting full reps right now because he's still coming back
to be a rookie and being on a pitch count. That ain't good.
But he does play special teams, and he is taking a turn on the defensive side. So I know the team is very high on him.
Of course, he was a fantastic player before he got hurt, right? And I think that's what keeps a guy like Nick Weeb around is the understanding of what we could actually get out of him once he gets over that injury.
And no knee brace, by the way.
Which is a massive positive.
Wow. Another one. What is happening? This might be tough. I don't know if you've been able to watch a lot of this. What's happening in the return game? I like Mario Alfred, but is someone else who may be able to play another position standing out?
Dre McRae and Dante Myers are taking a lot of snaps, as is Daniel Weeb as a returner. Weeb has done some returning with the U of S Huskies, of course. McRae did a terrific job. He's got some amazing stats south of the border in college from returning the football, and we did see Dante Myers doing it last year at times before he got hurt. So they are all taking reps.
Yeah, I like McRae. I like McRae and Myers. And a guy like McRae, it's that old adage, right, guys? Whenever you're talking about professional football, one of the things you talk about is the fact that there's always somebody behind you that's younger and cheaper that the coaches want to eventually get. And I think that with a good showing on Saturday by McRae, do you start questioning whether Alford is the guy that you want to go forward, right? He's a little bit, he's obviously on the other side of his career, but he's also a little bit more expensive, right? If you are able to find a guy that is a little bit of a jitterbug, has a lot fresher legs, and is going to be as explosive as you want that return game to be, it's probably an easy decision. But that's only if he takes advantage of the opportunity.
Okay, boys, quick turnaround here. We're going to bring you on with Darian after the top of the hour. So we'll talk to you in a bit. Thanks to everyone who's messaging in on the Prairieland Rentals text line. Fire your questions for Darian and the fellas after 5-936-6262. Prairieland Rentals, deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street. Break. When we come back, we're talking flag football. It's going to be a fun one. A lot of biggest flag league in the country is right here in Regina. Let's talk some flag. It is the SportsCage on the home of football in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. If you're watching hockey tonight and you don't want to cook Western pizza, the place, order a pie or any of the Greek favorites you love, see what the pickup special is near you. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. I just teased it, talking flag football. Joining us from Saskatoon, Joel Lipinski, named defensive coordinator for Team Canada when it comes to flag football. Now, I know you're not in Saskatoon right now. You're traveling around. I think you said you're in Montreal. First off, congrats, Joel. You must be excited.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, obviously. Yeah, man, very excited with the opportunity.
Your credentials to get this gig, like you got the flag football experience. Maybe just let people know, how many years you kind of been coaching and helping out there.
Yeah, so I guess after I finished my tackle career, kind of jumped right in. So yeah, I've been like kind of starting off with like the IFAF kind of flag. I mean, we've been doing touch and flag in Regina for years, kind of leading up to it. But 2014 is when kind of started getting into the competitive flag landscape. And so, yeah, I've been doing it for 11 years now. And then 2016, we ended up winning nationals, and then was able to kind of go into my first worlds. And again, and the flag world is quite a bit different than the tackle world, which we found out really quick. You have obviously teams like Israel and Denmark and Austria that you had no idea had these flag football programs, and these guys played flag football over there. But again, even when you show up, you kind of still have that tackle football kind of somewhat mindset, and some of these players look relatively unassuming. And then all of a sudden they get out and he's like, holy mackerel, no, these guys know flag. And again, just the systems and like the differences that some of these teams end up using, like it's just things you've never seen. So yeah, the goal is with myself just now, again, being from 2014, having 11 years to kind of go through some of these bumps and these learning curves. Hopefully you can speed this process up over the next 4 years here.
If you rank it, and I forget how it finished at Worlds, obviously the U.S. is up there, Italy's up there. Where are we ranking the top 5 countries right now for flag as we stand right now?
Yeah. So I guess when we played in 2016, we ended up getting 5th, and then 2 years later, we ended up getting 6th. And then this last year out at Finland, we were kind of like, just a couple drives away just at the end there too. It was like the difference between one play finishing 3rd, but we ended up finishing 7th. So we had only 6 teams are going to end up going to the Olympic Games. So we would have been one spot out of that right now, but the previous years we would have been right in there. So yeah, we're right on that verge here. So we just got to kind of get over the hump and make sure we maintain it.
I love flag. You and I were texting back and forth. I coach it as well with the kids. We got like 3,500 kids in Regina playing it. That's right awesome. Now. Huge league. The NFL owners are saying, we're going to make our guys available. For me, I don't know, because how do you explain it to people how different flag football, let alone five guys or girls, smaller fields, the athleticism, like how do you explain it to be like, pump the brakes maybe on the pros, because flag's a totally different game?
Yeah, I'd say very much so, especially in regards to systems and just kind of getting used to it. I mean, obviously you end up having players who are paid professionally to play a sport like somewhat similar, like where I think people are just underestimating what the learning curve is going to be over that particular time frame, because you can't just bring these kids out or these guys out of their CFL or their NFL training camps and just be like, okay, we're going to put a team together in 5 days and kind of make this work. Just from the defensive side anyways, like obviously my side specifically, like there ends up being like 4-man switch concepts that you have to be be working together for a good period of time. Like even when you end up going to now these world tournaments, you'll have players who are in their mid-30s, but again are still the best players like on the team just because they work so cohesively as a unit. So no, it's a very different game in that respect. Yeah.
What makes a really good flag football player? Is it speed, agility, size, or smarts? Like how would you how do you put that into a silo?
I think it's just kind of also just like depending on like the team, and like every team even has their own different systems and constructs, just like any OC or DC in the tackle game would have their own specific ways in which they actually want to run the offense. Obviously everything's relatively spread in that respect, but yeah, like I mean a lot of the same attributes still apply, but again, like now, I mean, in fact, if you're a good hitter, or again, like even if you're a DB but you're predominantly jamming all the time too, that's not going to be allowed at the flag level. So again, that's something even when you're looking at athletes here too, is like, does their skill set that they have even in the tackle game going to translate into the flag game? And some there definitely will, but others, yeah, it'd be a steep learning curve and they probably wouldn't fit in. They'd just be getting penalized the entire way down the field.
Would it be crazy to say that Mason Nias from Regina won't be involved down the road at some point, whether it's coaching or playing? It might be a tough one to answer.
Yeah, obviously, man, Mace is man, was an athlete of mine for forever, and now we're coaching together at the University of Saskatchewan. Man, to be honest, like I don't know if I've ever been around a better football mind and a better flag mind than him. And so I know even Lapo has been like picking his brain a little bit, just trying to like get his ideology. Especially even just like the biggest thing is just knowing how we have it's a 4-down game, and on the one side of half you only have 4 downs to get 20 yards. So I mean, there's a lot you can do. So how do you end up setting yourself up for free plays? You give yourself a better chance to score. It's obviously a very offensive-centric game, so like consistency is key. I think I was mentioned you too. It's like realistically, as a defense, like you're going to get beat and you're going to get beat a lot, but the goal is just to kind of like again, like kind of get over that mental block. But then ideally, just try to know that hey, if we get 3 stops this game, like we should win, just because your offense, again, on the other side, like should only be potentially stopped once or twice, right? So
yeah, it's the old score for score. You're just trying to stop them maybe once, twice, like you said, 3 times. So what does the next few months look like for you as you're trying to assemble the team to go to Worlds this year?
Yeah, so like kind of before I was brought on staff, they actually had tryouts kind of all across Canada, and so that's actually why I'm in Montreal right now. We start tomorrow, so we ended up kind of narrowing it down to around the top 50 out of all these camps across Canada, and so it's the same thing on the women's side and the men's side. So we both start tomorrow at the University of Montreal here, and so yeah, out of that 50, essentially we're going to cut it down to 12, and so yeah, tomorrow we start off. We have combines and just like starting off just with like basic skill kind of position groups how we kind of get going, but like we'll be rolling right into 2 days over the next 3 days, and again just trying to select the best 12 over the next 3 days here.
Last one. And any Sasky kids or athletes on both sides?
No, like man, honestly, just like even the way they kind of went across here too, like it wasn't I think, yeah, it just was a missed opportunity in terms of how much this could have been hyped up. And I think, obviously, with the NFL kind of being involved and just how much this flag game's growing, I think it will be something that, I wouldn't be surprised. We should have some Saska guys on this team. Obviously, I'm going to be exceptionally biased in that regard here, too. But the fact that we don't have any, and the fact that we had that many Saska guys play over the last, like, Worlds and over the last 8-year World tournaments. So, yeah, no, that will be something that we'll have to change here for sure.
Right on, Joel. Thanks for taking some time. Have fun in Montreal. Best of luck, and we're gonna definitely catch up again and chat flag. Thanks for doing this.
Awesome. Thanks, Barney. Thank you, guys.
Right on. Joel Lipinski, just named defensive coordinator, Team Canada, for the men's flag team. Super exciting. Let's go to break. It is the Sports Cage. We are on the home of football in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM. Roughrider training camp news. Philippe Gagnon looks like he possibly has a season-ending injury with a bicep tear. We'll talk more, the boys, about that momentarily. NHL tonight, Edmonton versus Dallas, Game 1. Tomorrow, Canada-Denmark at the World Championships. The Blue Jays in action tonight, trying to look for 2 in a row against San Diego. Also, Regina Red Sox home opener coming up next Thursday, May 29th versus Swift Current. And in the NBA, Knicks. New York will be off the charts. They're hosting Indiana in Game 1 tonight. Other NBA news, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the Canadian, he won MVP of the entire league. Second time a Canadian has won that ever. Ticker for Extreme Hockey and Sport. Whatever your spring sport is, Extreme Hockey has you covered. Lacrosse, baseball, hockey, golf, they got it all. Darian Durant and the fellows from Saskatoon. When we come back, it is a Sports Cage on 620 CKRM. Hour left in the show. We're going up to training camp. We're going to talk to the fellows with Darian Durant here in moments. Also, bottom of the hour, Dale Derkatch from the Regina Pats, talking spring camp, talking what happened at the draft. Pick Dale's brain. Maybe a update on NHL playoffs as he sees it as well. Sheriff and Coulson with me on this Wednesday for Regina Motor Products. Drove by there the other day. Sick lineup of trucks on the lot. Thanks to Regina Motor Products. Let's get going. Let's do some Darian Durant for Campbell Safety Consulting.
It's time for Double Talk with Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Darian Durant. Double Talk is brought to you by Campbell Safety Consulting. At Campbell Safety Consulting, we work towards helping companies create a competitive edge by executing a proactive health and safety program.
Doubles with Luke and Dave. Another week. We're into preseason mode. Boys are on the bird to Winnipeg on Friday for the game on Saturday. Darian, you're probably keeping track here. Unfortunate news with Philippe Gagnon. Just another old lineman. Looks to be a long injury for the Riders.
Yeah, I was looking forward to Gags coming over and joining the Riders. I call him Gags because, you know, he was with me my last year in Montreal. So I know him very well. I know what type of energy he brings. And you know, it's just sad that, you know, for the second year in a row, the Riders are having these injuries up front. I saw where McEwen went down as well. So, you know, it's just unfortunate. But, you know, this puts J.O. to the test to see what he can do to have these guys, the backups, ready to go.
Darian, I wanted to ask you, so this week and today in particular, we saw some shuffling along the offensive line. Most notably, Logan Ferland has now moved to center. So obviously, Trevor Harris comes into the season thinking that Sean McEwen is going to be snapping him the ball. It changes to Zach Fry, and now a couple of days after that, it moves to Logan Ferland. How much does that mess you up as a quarterback?
Well, it doesn't really mess me up as a quarterback, but it really hurts the chemistry up front. You know, the quarterback of the O-line is the center. He makes the calls. He gets guys pointed in the right direction. And, you know, it's very important for his IQ to be super high and for him to be on point at all times. So if you're always, you know, changing guys, having a different voice here today and another one here tomorrow, it could kind of mess up the chemistry up front. So I think the center position is one of those positions that you want to have as much stability as possible. So I think they're kind of shuffling guys right now to find out, you know, who's going to be the guy moving forward.
So when it comes to snapping the ball, though, there's obviously a chemistry, or if you will, or a relationship there. How much work do you do with now Logan Ferland?
Well, I think that's for, you know, Tommy Stevens and your short yardage guys who are going to be under center. You know, they have to make sure that they're getting the right fit so that, you know, on 2nd and 1, you know, 2nd and short situations, they're ready to go. As far as, you know, sitting in the shotgun and receiving the snap, it won't be that difficult. Trevor has played with a ton of different quarterbacks over his time. So whether it's a spiral or whether it's a J.O. floater coming back there, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Oh, little shade. I picked that up. We were talking in hour one, and Luke brought up the point that, you know, you want to get these starters in, not so much maybe to look at them because you know what they can do. It's for the quarterbacks to have time so you can get a fair look on what some of these receivers can do. You know, if it's a blitz or these guys are just basically falling over and the quarterback's always under pressure, you ain't going to be able to see Myers running the deep route or something you want to get there. So you got to have some sort of protection which it leads to having some of these vets in, Darian.
Yeah, I mean, this is the tough part, right? You want to try to keep guys as healthy as possible, but you want them to get those reps needed to get ready for the regular season. And as a quarterback, you know, I hate to say this, but you want to hit the ground a time or two, right? You want to make sure your shoulder muscles can and everything can brace yourself as you're falling. You need to get back into the shape, to hit the ground, so to speak. That's actually an art that people don't really know about. Hitting the ground is a skill, and it's something that if you don't do for a while, you can kind of lose it. So for Trevor, I think it's important that he goes out there, gets pushed down a little bit, and can kind of get the rhythm and feel for how his O-line is going to hold up against a pretty good defensive line.
Hey man, give us 2 priorities that you had when it came to your offense in the preseason. Like when you were out there, you knew that, for instance, you were going to go for 2 series and then you were going to sit down, right? But what were the priorities for you there in terms of what you wanted to see from an execution standpoint or play standpoint?
Well, first of all, I wanted to just make sure I'm seeing the defense. I mean, for the first 2 weeks of camp, you're just looking at your teammates. You're going against the same defensive schemes each and every day. So it's refreshing to get out there against another team and to be able to see if you can execute against them. So I want to look at another defense first and foremost. And then second of all, I just want to get that game timing down with my receivers. In practice, guys have on sweats, you have on extra layers of clothing, so they're not playing at game speed in practice. You try to emulate it as much as you can, but there's nothing like game speed. So you want to go out there, get a couple completions going, see if you can get some timing routes against game speed, and if you can have a good first possession or 2, then you're ready to go, and you can just sit out the rest of the game and get ready for the regular season 1.
Doubles, maybe to you first, and then Luke, you answer us. And I don't want to make this sound like not important, but in a preseason game, if you had to rank positions on like which ones aren't so much, we don't need the look as some of these other ones, like which ones would be at the bottom of the pile there, where you could say, we can let this guy sit this one out?
Well, first of all, I think receiver. I mean, these guys run so much in practice. Every day they're doing one-on-ones. You're getting tons of looks at the receivers and what they can do. So I don't think the game really changes much from that perspective. Now, your linebackers, your defensive linemen, guys who have to now tackle guys. You have to bring guys down to the ground, something that, coaches won't allow to happen at practice. This is where you get a chance to evaluate those guys, see if they're physical, see if everything, the attributes that you see on paper, see if it can match up in a game-like situation.
Luke, question to you. Would you echo that?
Yeah, I completely agree on the receivers. I think one of the most important groups, one Doubles didn't mention, are the DBs. You want to know that what they look like in practice versus, again, the receivers that they're seeing every day and knowing the plays. Can you play man, right? Are you going to get into your drops? Can you adjust to your, like Doubles is talking about, is referring to the game speed, right? I think that it doesn't take very long from a defensive lineman standpoint to get used to the game speed, because the guy's trying to hit you in your mouth right away. So you kind of have that attitude where like you have no choice. But I would agree. I really think that the receivers are a group that you can kind of tone down. I really want to see the DBs though, and I especially want to see the DBs in situations where they're having to tackle, because that is the one thing that you don't get any of in practice from a DB perspective. It's that tackle. You just sort of run by guys, tag them on the hips, and by the time the ball gets to the DB's level, if it's a running back, now the running back's completely shut down. They're going at gear 1. So, yeah, the most important group in my mind is those DBs.
Darian, I'm glad that you pointed it out, that it is a skill to falling down. That's almost why I was in the Speed Skating Hall of Fame, but that's a different story for a different day. But having said that, in all honesty, guys, when you've become established at your position in this league, right? The preseason training camp is about getting yourselves ready for the season and week number 1. So when you are looking at the preseason, and I'll start with Luke and go to Doubles next, when you're looking at this preseason, how much of is it individualistic, right? In the fact that I've got to make sure that I'm ready to go and not have to worry about my teammates around me, or is it still always the ultimate team game?
No, it's definitely, well, at least from a defensive standpoint, you definitely have to understand the alignment, assignment, execution aspect of what you're about to go do. Coaches want to be able to trust the guys that they have out there. And a lot of the times, especially on the defensive side of the ball, it comes down to doing your job. On the defensive line, Gary Echeverry used to always say this to us in 2010, right? Like, water's not smart, right? But if you poke a hole in a bucket that's full of water, the water is just going to pour out of that hole. And as a defense, we always used to kind of look at it like that, right? Like the one time you're going to be out of position and out of your gap, that's the one time that the running back is going to bust you open for 15 yards, right? So now it's not only about doing your job, now you're impacting everybody else. So I think that from an individualized standpoint, you really sort of create the week one. Now it's, hey, family on three, blah, blah, blah. But I think that you still have to be or have a little bit of that hired gun mentality when you're in training camp.
Yeah, training camp is all about getting yourself ready to go. I mean, even as a veteran, you can't really focus on your position group. You can't be a teacher so much, especially if you're a guy that's not on your way out and you're still playing at a high level. You can't spend too much time teaching. You have to make sure you're ready to go individually. So I agree with Luke. I mean, especially offensively. Now at quarterback, that's more of your team-oriented position where you meet with the guys. You have to have everyone on the same page. But the other positions, you have to lock in on yourself. You make sure you do what you're supposed to do, because if you do what you're supposed to do and everyone else does the same thing, then that's how you have good, successful play. So you have to focus on yourself initially.
Did you, Darian, in a preseason game ever have someone light you up, or like some Johnny Tryhard come at you too hard? And then Luke, to you, do you ever remember anybody maybe going a little too hard on a QB, or is that allowed in preseason in your mind?
There is no going too hard in preseason mode, man. Those guys are out there trying to kill the quarterback. That's how they're going to get on the team, right? Like, you got to
And it's very important, when your media guy passes out the rosters of the other team, you need to see who's playing in that preseason game. If they're loading up a whole bunch of rookies who are just have nothing to lose and going to be coming at you 1,000 miles per hour, then, as a quarterback, I'm looking to get rid of that ball and make sure I don't even risk anything. But if you're playing against the starters, a bunch of veteran guys, guys have an understanding. You just want to go out there, get your reps, make sure everyone is healthy going into week one. There's everyone's on the same page as far as veterans in the preseason, but you got to watch out for those rookies if you're a starter, because some teams, they rest all starters and they go out there with a bunch of rookies. And if you're a veteran going out there against a bunch of rookies, you better watch out.
I don't know if Luke got that memo by the sounds of things.
No, I was speaking purely from a defensive standpoint, man. I don't think that there's any time where a defensive lineman would be like, nah, I'm going to take it easy on this, right? Or maybe I was just never in a situation where I felt comfortable with my personal position on the team. You know what I mean? Like, I always felt like I wanted to grind it out. You know what I mean?
So obviously this occurs, and Darian, you told the story, and you're bang on, right? When you said about the fact that, if I had to go off script, I'd go off script because I just wanted to make sure that I stood out and I made my case for being on the team and proving what I could do, right? But obviously there's times and plays, whether it's on offense and say a receiver is supposed to run a curl and instead decides to stretch it into a post. That he's supposed to be there, instead he's going over there. Do you still throw him the ball, or do you just eat it in that scenario? And again, on defense too, Luke, right? There's going to be times where you should be going here, you should be challenging this gap. Do you go off what's happening around you, or again, is that all thrown out the window?
Now, I'm not sitting here telling guys to just run the complete wrong route, but the beauty of it is with 5 guys on the field, you always have guys on different levels. And what I mean is, when you're going out there, you have a short route and all of the defenders are low. it just makes no sense to try to force the ball into a short route with low defenders. So now I'm saying maybe you'll decide to read the other side of the field where you may have a route going further down the field. So I don't mean switch up what you need to do in the playbook. I'm just saying sometimes a read may cause for you to read one side of the field, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense to go there. And coaches may be throwing you a pop quiz just to see if you know not to throw the ball in certain looks, if you're ready enough or ready to take it to the next level and make another read.
Is that, I was going to say, is that a test?
I remember 1 year.
Sorry, Luke, go ahead.
Sorry, Barney. I remember 1 year we had, because you get an entire game script, right? For exhibition game 1 or exhibition game 2. And I remember I just wanted to be out there with guys that I trusted, right? Because if you were going to call a blitz or a stunt or a game, and I was going to go from B gap to C gap contain, I didn't want to look like an idiot, right? I wanted to be out there with a guy that knew that he was going from C gap to B gap, right? So like that was, and that's kind of the risk you run when you're playing with guys you don't necessarily trust. So I think that if there is one thing in terms of like guys getting on the same page, it's the communication that you want to have as a defense. Because again, when, like for instance, a lot of people say, oh, well, you know what? They sent the outside linebacker off the strong side, right? And that was just the end of it. Well, hold on a second. If we're sending the linebacker off the strong side, chances are we're going to have to tighten down on the defensive backs, but also the defensive line are going to have to know that they've got to go from one gap to a different gap, because if they don't, they're going to be on sound. So you always kind of wanted to know that the guy inside of you or on the other side of you knew what the hell he was supposed to do, right? Because you were going to look bad if he didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, it probably injury as well, right? Like you got a guy out there, professional, things are moving fast. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like a guy could run into trouble physically as well. Darian, in a preseason game, would there be more of the offensive playbook scripted going in, or would the coaches want to test, like you talked about, the QBs to maybe audible out if he sees something, or how would that work for the QBs?
No, I think the game plan will be pretty vanilla. Just your basic plays. You may have 10 run plays, 10 pass plays that you can execute at a high level, especially for the starters. You just want to get out there and get the physical part down. For a group that's been together like this group, you're going on year 2. It's not much mentally you have to really focus on. It's about getting out there and physically, receivers dealing with. Everyone has to hit the ground, but now you have more guys tugging on your jersey a little bit in your routes. Like Luke mentioned, for DBs, now DBs have to tackle. There's no more tagging off. And DBs are the smaller guys on the field, right? So now you have to, make up your mind when you're running up against some of these running backs. It's a different mentality. So, going into this game, it's about the physical part, in my opinion, and making sure that your body is ready to go through a grueling season.
And you always hear guys saying they want to see guys playing fast. And that's the other benefit of having a shortened playbook, is that you get to see the guys and you get to evaluate the guys at their top speed. If they're not thinking and they're just going out there and they're playing, then you know what you know. If you go and give them the entire playbook and they're new to the league, right? Now they're playing a little bit slower than you'd want them to play. And you're really not evaluating them. And that also throws off the timing with the guys around them. So that's another reason. I know that we talk about in training camp, you can see the guys that aren't necessarily catching on. The exhibition game, though, is not one of those deals where you want to see who's not catching on and who's not absorbing the playbook. You want everybody out there playing fast so you can get the right evaluation.
Is there anything at all that isn't evaluated during this preseason game? Throw out a couple of scenarios. Number one, special teams, right? You are live special teams. One of the very few times I would suggest during training camp. And the other scenario is to find out who's been paying attention and actually learned the game. And
everything is being evaluated. I'll never forget when I played with Mark Trestman in Montreal. Trest did a walkthrough the day before. And we went over every protocol from having the national anthem to where he wanted people's toes to be on the white line during the national anthem, right? We go in to the first film session after that exhibition game, and you want to know the first thing, trust me, and he lost it. It wasn't just, he literally brought up, and he led the meeting off by this. How can we expect to trust guys to win a championship if we get this? And then he turned on the film, and you know what he pointed out? He pointed out the guys who had their toes over the line. That's what he was looking at. He looked at it all. He was like, can we trust this, guys? And he would put it on us. Can we trust that guy? If that guy's not listening to something simple like the national anthem, so everything's evaluated. Everything.
You're nodding, Darian.
I bring
you know.
For sure. From the time, it doesn't matter what day of the week. From the time you walk out of that locker room and you put on either your practice jersey or your game jersey, you're being filmed. Everything is important. And like Luke said, the teams where we had the most success, it started from the national anthem. It started from where guys lined up. It started from guys taking their helmets off, holding your helmet in the right place, standing beside the guy that you stand beside every single week. You're not switching places. It's the little things like that a lot of people may not realize, but you as an athlete, you don't take these things for granted because it's all about routine. It's all about trust, and it's all about doing the little things right. And it starts from as soon as you walk out of that locker room.
On the weekend, Calgary had 33 players on their roster who had never played a game of Canadian football. So obviously there's a lot of different rules. My favorite preseason one was years ago when a young Calgary Stampeder quarterback with time expiring on the clock, instead of taking a snap like you do in Canada, started walking off the field where his teammates had to go grab him and bring him back. I don't know if there's any grace period on that, but is there any oh my gosh, I got to remember that?
I think for returners, I've seen guys try to make a fair catch. I've seen guys not return, miss field goals. I mean, I think, for the rules' sake, us as quarterbacks, we go through the rules all the time. We're always in last second, last minute situational football. You're always studying that. But I think it's essential for these guys who are used to making a fair catch on a punt return or not even thinking about returning a field goal. It's very important because we've seen games later in the season won and lost with some of these mistakes. So it's huge during the preseason to make sure you have the rules down pat.
I love it when there's always some gunner going down and he doesn't know the no yards rule thing.
Oh yeah.
And then light up city. Here we go. Okay, we gotta scram. Darian, thanks so much for doing this again. This is great. Maybe we'll do it again Monday with the fellas. Always a pleasure. Dave and Luke, have a good night. Don't know what it all entails there, but take it all in. Last few days in the big city. Fellas, it's been a pleasure.
All right, boys.
Later, boys.
Doubles, olive.
Yes, sir.
So we got two sponsors here, Darian Durant, and the Double Talk with Darian's always brought to you by Campbell Safety Consulting. If your workplace doesn't have a proper safety program, easy. Call Campbell Safety Consulting. Big Rider fans, they will help you out and get your workplace what you need. And also our training camp reports are for the Red Zone Sports Bar in Saskatoon, right behind the Travelodge where the fellas have been enjoying things all week. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we're talking with Assistant General Manager of the Regina Pats and Regina Pats legend, Dale Derkatch. It is the Sports Cage on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM. Oiler fans, we are about 25 minutes away from puck drop. Depends how long the anthems are tonight. We'll see. Oilers, Stars. Exciting. We'll have some more NHL talk coming up in a bit. Also, an interview with Dave Thomas and Logan Furland still coming up in the show. But let's go out Western Pizza, order a pie tonight, watch some hockey, take it all in. Western Pizza, the best. All the generous toppings on the pie. Find out what the pickup special is if you don't want to dine in near you. Assistant General Manager of the Regina Pats, Dale Derkatch, is joining us. Dale, thanks so much for waiting online and doing this. Let's start first off. Busy weekend, spring camp for the Regina Pats. I'm sure you're welcoming people if they want to come down and watch. A very exciting spring camp for the Regina Pats. Give the fans, the lay of the land and what happens this weekend for the Pats.
Right on. Thank you, Barney. Thanks for having me. Yeah, Thursday night we welcome, I think it's about 25 players into the city. A couple obviously live here. And then we're going to have 4 ice times throughout Friday and Saturday, as well as some fitness testing and then some orientation for the players and parents in regards to billets and school, and just try to get everyone involved and let them know what we're all about here.
With Maddox Schultz and after the draft and Henry and Pugh all being here, do you remember the time that maybe there was such an exciting spring camp for the Regina Pats?
Well, I'm not sure about that for sure. Spring camp, I don't know how long they've been around. Some teams do them, some teams don't. This one sure feels pretty good, and there's excitement around. I have people texting and asking, when are the ice times? Normally you don't get that during a spring camp, but yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a few people at the Cooperator Center this weekend. Can
you, from your lens or aspect and that day, can you take us through the trade where you guys get Liam Pugh from third? We talked to Al Miller. He said, it was something you guys talked about. It was depending what was going to happen in 2. But from your words and how you saw that all play out, Dale, how did it go? Well, we had talked earlier about potentially moving up to number 2 or number 3. And it was always just something you're talking about and kind of in a joking manner. And then all of a sudden, Al says, a couple hours before we're going to start the draft, there's an opportunity here to potentially move up to number 3. And at first, I don't think everyone took it very serious. And then the talks got going. There's some texting back and forth. And we had a meeting then with our hockey operations group and talked about what potentially we could do. Kelowna came in with a bit of an offer, and we went back with a counter and thought, our counter actually probably made it even a little better for Kelowna, as we were going to give them something in a pick a little earlier than they had asked for. So we felt confident that it may happen. Obviously, there were some talks that needed to happen between Al Miller, agent for Pugh, and the parents and the player, and it all went smoothly. And I think we got it done like 15 minutes before the start of the draft. So it was pretty exciting. That is exciting, almost like a video game ish, where you get to play that. That'd have been cool to be a fly on the wall. Now you talk about the parents being involved and the agent and all that. Is that something that maybe is new in the last number of years here, where you got to go through those steps compared to your playing days where, and I know there wasn't a bantam draft back then, but is it always, you got to talk to the parents, make sure things are kosher as far as coming to your organization, or is that kind of new in the league? I would say it's probably new in the last 10 to 15 years. Normally everything is fine. It usually is going to be okay. We just wanted to double check and make sure that everyone was on board and how it would all work out if we were to be, move up and were to get that pick. Things were contingent on Liam being available at that pick, so it wasn't a slam dunk, right? Yeah. There was a number 2 pick to go ahead of that, so we were just making sure that may happen, and it did. It was great. It worked out well. Al did a great job of organizing the whole thing. For you, kids that play, you coach in the Sask AA U15 league or Bantam league. Compared to all the prep schools we see now, it's not, the old days where it was Notre Dame and there wasn't many around. Now there's so many. We had Cal Filson in, and he talked about it as well. But from you and a guy that's been around the game a long time, scouting and managing and all that, how do you see the prep school to what we see in the Saskatchewan League or even the Alberta League? Well, you're asking me a question many parents ask, what should my son do?
where should he play? Is the prep school league better than the Saskatchewan league or Manitoba? You know what? If you're a good player, you'll be found wherever it is. You're not scouting the teams, you're scouting the players. And sometimes you have to take out what the play is like and just watch the player and evaluate their talents. And that's no different with Liam Pugh playing in the JPHL, which is an outlaw league. He was playing in a league that might not be at the same caliber as our Saskatchewan U18 AAA league, but you just had to watch Liam play and how he played and his attributes, how he skates, how his skills are, how his hockey sense is, his compete level. And that's no different at the NHL level when you go in to watch maybe a high school player playing high school in Minnesota. You're not scouting the game, you're scouting the players. So that's how you have to do it as a scout.
How much have things changed that you've seen, and it's still, everyone says it hasn't settled yet, we don't know, with the NCAA and kids now, especially the American kids, really given strong looks to come up here and play because now they can still do the NCAA thing, which is huge in the States. Yeah, we're starting to see a change. We're going to have, I think, about 5 or 6 Americans here at our camp this weekend. We have the guys we picked in this last draft very interested and want to come. We have a list player, Zach Zimmerman, who's coming up. And these guys are all interested, and they see it as a great route for their development to improve and move on. And obviously, they want to play in the Western League or at the next level. And in the end, they're looking to play in the NHL. That's their dream, and it should be. And they're looking at the WHL as a great developmental tool and a place to play to improve and make that jump. Expansion draft this year, and sounds like there's going to be one again next year. Did that change a lot for teams like you? Does that make things difficult? Or, obviously you got to put somebody up there, but how does that change things a bit from an organizational point? Yeah, it makes a little bit of a, I don't want to say a hassle or something, but, you have to put up a player that you've drafted or listed, and it's kind of tough, right? You've maybe invested in that player and the family, and they want to be with you, and you have to leave someone available. And, it just so happens, it worked out for us. We didn't have to lose a younger player. We lost a player that was not playing for us or going to play for us over the course of the next few years. So it worked out, but it doesn't always work so well like that. Yeah, for sure. You scored a lot of goals in the league. We did the Monday Nooner before. We've done all this, gone through your stats. It's quite amazing. Banner hanging in the Brand Center. And you've been around them. You've known the parents a long time, Dale. But have you ever seen anything come out of Saskatchewan, or can you compare them to the player that Maddox Schultz is? Well, I haven't seen it as a scout, really. This is pretty cool. You have a player that is developed here in Regina. We have been not looked at as a place that develops a ton of players over the years when you compare it to a place like Saskatoon. So it's pretty exciting. You have a player that, again, I've said it many times, it's not only his hockey, it's his character. You're getting a player that's a very good leader, and he brings that in his effort and his work ethic and consistency day to day. And it's rare to find that in a young player. That's what you're looking at as a NHL scout, and for guys that are going to play in the NHL, pro players. And you have a player that's already playing as a pro here at a young age is pretty exciting. The one thing I see, and I've had people message me from all over saying, what is he like live? What is he like? All that. 200 feet, right? Like for his age and what he was playing, he can play both sides of the ice and play it strong. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be one of the things that gets him to where he wants to go. And that's probably, where one day in the NHL. It's hard to find players like that these days. And I'll chalk that up to coaching here in the Hockey Regina. There were lots of different coaches that have helped him along the way. So no, you got to bring that yourself too, right? You have to be self-motivated, and it's that character and work ethic that he had from a young age. He wants to be the best, and he tries to show that each and every day he's on the ice. A question I'm getting asked all the time, we get it here, and I'm sure you are, and I don't know how much you can tell us, but is it a possibility and that we see Liam play for the Pat Canadians this year? And can he do the 34 game like Maddox because he played in the JPHL?
Yes. First off, I'll talk about the 34 games. Liam can do that, as well as Maddox, obviously, and Reed Nickel. They were 3 players that played up in U18 this year, U18 AAA. So they're all eligible to play the 34 games. Whether Liam plays in Regina for the Pat Canadians or not is not yet set. There's lots to go through. That's a family decision. He has lots of options. There are CSSHL teams that want him. There are junior A teams in BC where he could play. So he's got some options. I think the parents are just gathering all the information along with Liam, and they're going to make a decision on that come, I think probably sooner than later. And you never know. It's a possibility, but that stuff still needs to be looked at.
I know the one thing my son Roman said right after the draft was, he's like, hey, we got an extra room, right? We could bill him. So pretty creative
Might
on
pick
his
you up
part.
on that. That's good.
Dale, always great catching up. Thanks so much for giving us some time today and a look on how things went. Really appreciate it. Super excited. Hey, I'm spending a lot of time at the rink this weekend, so I'll be watching some of that camp, and I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to watching it as well.
Yeah, it should be exciting, Barney. Thank you very much. And come say hello. And hey, I'm always interested on that Double D thing. Who is the real Double D?
Double D. Darian or Dale?
Who was first? Who's the Double D? The real Double D? I got to meet him one day.
That's a debate. We're going to have to settle that on the Sports Cage for sure. Yeah, Plaza of Honor hanging in the Brand Center. That's a good question. Oh, right on.
I'd like to meet him one day.
Thanks, Dale. Have a good one.
Take care.
Dale Derkatch, Assistant General Manager from the Regina Pats, joining us. Oh, that's good. Who is the real doubles? Threw me for a loop there. I was like, what? Yeah. It's exciting for people at the Cooperator Center. If you go to the Brant Center, you ain't going to find much. The doors will be locked. Who knows what's running around in there these days? Ice is out. Everything will happen at the Cooperator Center. Regina Pats spring camp going on. Oh, good question. Let's come back with a little sports ticker. We still got Dave and Logan Furlan to talk about. It is the Sports Cage on the home of the Regina Pats, 620 CKRM. Oh, yeah. Oiler fans, it is game night. What a watch this will be. I'll surprise the Sheriff and Coulson here. Haven't sprinkled on tonight's game yet. I don't know what to do.
What?
Is it an anytime goal? Is it points, shots on goal?
Just flip a coin. That's my advice.
I'm not going to play the winner. I can't. The Oilers are just too good. They're just I can't play a winner tonight. I got to find some sort of prop bet to get this going. Puck drop is set in Dallas it'll be a little bit after 6:00. Oilers and Stars tomorrow night. Panthers Carolina. Again, Panthers up 1-0 in that series. Canada takes on Denmark. Let's just do the sports ticker. That's what we're doing anyways. Let's fire it up, boys.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance Heath today.
Oilers Stars tonight. Looking at the betting board, the Oilers are the underdog. Money line plus 113 for an Oil win in Big D tonight. Training camp news for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. If you didn't hear, it looks like Philippe Gagnon is going to be out a while, maybe the season. Torn bicep on that. Blue Jays taking on the San Diego Padres for the second straight night. They won last night. Regina Red Sox, don't forget, home opener coming up next Thursday, May 29th, Curry Field. NBA tonight. Allen and Coulson both excited. And if you're in New York, what a time to be in New York. They haven't been to anything with importance in a long time, any of their teams. The Knicks hosting Indiana game 1, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Canadian, is the NBA MVP of the season. And you know what we forgot to mention in the rest of the tickers? Colson, you were almost right, but they didn't ban the tush push. The NFL did not. It didn't go through. Quickly here, I know what the vote was. 22-10, something like that, or 24 votes. They got 10 teams that voted against the tush push. Yeah, so that is your sports ticker in hour 3 for Steelcraft Doors in Regina. We're going to go back, talk some riders. Dave Thomas, an interview with Logan Furland when we come back. It is the Sports Cage on the home of the Riders, 620 CKRM.
Logan, we haven't had an opportunity to talk since you signed your extension. Congratulations. What does that mean to you?
Thank you. Yeah, it means a lot. Obviously, being from this province and being able to play on this team is a dream come true, and always continues to be an honor to play for this team.
Does that change anything at all aside from having maybe a bit of security?
Not really, no. I'm going to be treating every year the same, going in with the same approach and just keeping that routine.
Tell me about the approach this year. Obviously, last year you went through it all with 14 different guys on your offensive line. It seemingly has started here in training camp. Is it take a toll on you at all?
Not really. Like I said, in the offseason, I really pride myself on being prepared for any position. So whatever we need, I'm going to be there for it, and same routine keeps me ready for anything.
Today you moved to center. It's not a position you're unfamiliar with, but is it one you're comfortable with?
I'm comfortable in it. The more I rep it, the better it feels like anything. Sometimes a guy might prefer guard, run off the ball a little more, but you know what, understanding the game from a center standpoint can really make you see it the whole offense and not just your position, so that helps a lot.
There definitely was a lot of chemistry, I thought, building between you and Jamarcus Hardrick. It now is interrupted a little bit with this move. Can you create that chemistry now with the guys that are on left and right in Brammer and Fry?
100%, and the more reps we get at it, the better it's going to be. Obviously, depends who's in there at what position, but we're always going to try to build as much chemistry as we can with the entire O-line, not just pairs, not just 3 guys, but all 5 O-linemen.
Is that why the offensive line felt it was necessary to come to camp early?
100%. Yeah, that's why we're always working early, trying to get that mesh going, trying to communicate, get on the same page, and then also for the younger guys coming up, be an example for them, so we can go out there, lead by example, and keep pushing the envelope.
So this isn't your first pro camp. You know how to prepare for a season. Are you where you want to be at this point?
I think I need to do a lot of work on certain things. Getting in the playbook with those young guys and really get everyone on the same page and continue to elevate what we have.
Do you have an expanded leadership role? There are so many great leaders along the offensive line and veterans on the offense as a whole.
Yeah, I think it's more all the veterans being a leader, everybody speaking up, everybody playing a role, everyone being accountable to themselves is the most important thing. If we can all be accountable to ourselves, that leadership, it's gonna lead the room on its own with that.
So the last question for you, again, there is some, oh my gosh, we've got injuries on the offensive line already, but I don't sense any panic, is there?
There's nothing to worry about. We're all prepared for this. We've been through this kind of situation before, and we're always prepared for it. The benefit we have, unfortunate to last year, all the injuries we had, it's also a benefit because we have guys that have played a lot of positions, and we have that depth, and we have nothing to be worried about.
Logan, appreciate your time. Congratulations again, and all the best this season.
Appreciate it. Thanks again.